at the end of the day, you can have all the money in the world, but if you're doing something that you hate, and if you're waking up every day wishing you were doing something else, then what's it for? And that's kind of the example that I wanted to set, that if you work hard enough at something and you really pursue something that you want to do, especially these days, I think you can do anything.
Will Dempsey, welcome to From Vision to Creation. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm really excited you're here, Will, because you have a great story from growing up in Louisiana, surrounded by music, to that viral moment singing with your son that touched millions of people, to now writing songs like Best Parts of Me and Beat You. They all come straight from the heart, and it's very obvious. And I think that that's why so many people connect with your music. And I'm just excited to dive into your journey and like all the exciting things that you've learned along the way and what your plans are for the future.
Yeah, excited to get into it.
So, Will, I want to go back to your childhood. When did you realize that you, first of all, loved music, but then was there a particular moment that you thought, hey, I'm actually, musically inclined and I can do something with this here?
Um, yeah, as far as I can remember, I always loved music. My mom has home videos of me when I'm probably like 2 or 3 years old, and I'm sitting on a stool playing a harmonica for probably an hour. And she recorded this whole time, like a 1 hour video of me of playing a harmonica. So I've got so many memories like that as a child, centered around music. And of course, I used to love to sing as well. And as I got a little bit older, um, I would hear other people sing. I mean, not too much older, maybe like 4 or 5 years old. I would hear other people sing, and I'm like, why aren't they singing the song right? Like there would be some people where they couldn't really sing it on pitch. And that's kind of when I realized that, not everyone can sing well. But I think at that time is when I noticed that I might have a little bit of talent for it. But, as time went on, I started getting my mom would give me a drum set, one of those paper drum sets where if you hit them too hard, it's going to bust. But I used to always get musical gifts like that, as a kid.
And what was the first instrument that you learned how to play?
The first instrument that I actually learned how to play was the trumpet. I played trumpet in middle school. So, um, but I don't play trumpet anymore. But I think the first instrument that I learned how to play that I still do play is guitar. And I learned that, and I think I got my first guitar in 8th grade. That's a story too, if you want to hear that one.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So yeah, growing up, I was always really into music, and as I got to my middle school age, I started to listen to more, rock. I actually grew up on classic rock and country music. That's what was always playing around my house when I was younger. And as I got a little bit older, I started to get more into punk rock, like Blink-182 and these other bands like that. And so I wanted to learn how to play guitar. So I asked my dad, I was like, hey, can you buy me a guitar? And he says, no, I'm not buying you a guitar because you're just going to play it for a little while and then stop like you've done the last few things that I bought you. So so he didn't give me that guitar, but not long after that, my uncle went to the pawn shop and he bought me a guitar. And this is probably in 8th grade. And I played it for probably 2 weeks. And then I did exactly what my dad said I would do. And I stopped playing it for like years. I never touched it again until I was in about high school. And in about 12th grade, actually, is when I actually picked the guitar up again and started actually learning how to play it.
Wow. And so did you teach yourself how to play the guitar? Did you take classes? How did that happen?
I did. I taught myself. I would buy some videos. This was back when VHS was still a thing. I had
Oh,
some
yeah.
tapes to play, and I learned chords that way. Um, I never took a single guitar lesson. I would probably be a lot better than I am now if I had, but I never took lessons.
Well, I don't know about that, Will, because the reason I asked the question is that most musicians, I feel, are self-taught. And I find that very interesting. And I also think it's an important thing to talk about because I think that sometimes people have this misconception that in order to pursue something at a serious level, that you need a formal education, which is not always the case. I mean, of course, if you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, an engineer, things like that, yes, you need to follow a certain path. But music is one of those things where I feel like you can easily teach yourself and do something amazing. I mean, case in point.
Yeah, music is just so individual that I think anybody who really wants to learn how to play something or really wants to learn how to sing or anything, they can learn how to do it. And I mean, you just have to put the time into it and you actually have to practice it. And, like there are a lot of things that I didn't learn. I never learned how to write songs. I never really learned how to, um, I never took any sort of lessons until recently. I just recently started taking singing lessons to help improve that. But everything else just came from a natural place, just I was I was actually really good at writing poetry in school. So I think that kind of helped with my songwriting, but never had any formal training and anything like that. So a lot of it just comes from a place that I'm not even sure where it comes from.
And Will, before you decided to pursue music full time, what were your dreams growing up? What did you want to be when you were in high school?
I wanted to be a musician. Uh, yeah, that's a long story too. So um, all through high school, well, when I started playing my senior year in high school, is I started learning how to play guitar, and then that's when I actually started writing songs as well. Um, I wrote a few songs. I actually put some out on MySpace back in the day, and I'm really glad MySpace is not a thing anymore because I don't want anybody to hear those songs ever again. But so yeah, I started writing those songs back in high school, and that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to do it for a living, but I was so afraid to get on a stage and sing in front of people. Like stage fright kind of prevented me from doing a lot of the things that I wanted to do. And so time went on, and I would continue to write songs, and I'd play for friends and family, and like around a campfire, and things like that. But I never had the guts to get up there and actually do it on a stage. And so, time kind of went on. I went to college, ended up graduating college with a degree in business. So at that point, I got a job, then I met my wife. We got together and had kids. And so, I thought that dream was dead for me. I thought that I was just going to have to work a regular job the rest of my life like everyone else. And, there's nothing wrong with that. I did it for almost 15 years. But it really always felt like to me something was missing, something. I was meant to be doing something else. And I didn't really know what it was because I didn't think it was going to be the music thing anymore. But then I had those viral videos, and it brought music right back into my life. And I knew when I got that shot, it was going to be now or never. So I just did everything I could to make sure that I didn't waste this opportunity. I started writing again, putting out music, learning how to mix my own music, learning how to record videos. And that paid off because I think it was not even 4 years later is when I quit my job and started doing this full time.
Wow. Okay. Well, so we have a lot to unpack right here.
Yeah.
First of all, I think it's really interesting that when you were growing up, you knew you wanted to be a singer. That was your dream. And then I feel like life kind of gets in the way, different circumstances come up. And almost like when you're going to college and you're pursuing your career, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but this is certainly the case for me. And I'm assuming it was the case for you. You almost stick to this framework because you feel that that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
And then I find it interesting that all those years later, 15 years after working a normal job, that it turns out that the kid in you who had that dream was right all along.
Yeah. It is crazy. And sometimes I still pinch myself that this is what I'm doing for a living now, because for a long time I just never believed it would happen. But yeah, I mean, college, when you're 18 years old, who knows what they want to do for the rest of their life? There's a lot of people that I think most people don't really know. Some people are lucky enough to really know, to be able to pursue a career. But something like a musician, most people look at that as like a dream. Like most people look at that as not a career that you can pursue. So, Yeah, I know I'm extremely lucky to be where I am right now, and yeah.
I think luck has something to do with it, but you were putting yourself out there all the way back into, in those MySpace days.
Hmm.
So I want to circle back to there for a quick second, because I think that this is also a great thing to talk about. When you feel passionate about something and you feel called to put something out into the world, of course, there's a lot of fear. And especially when you don't have any success in that area of your life when you're doing it for the first time. So, can you talk to us about those MySpace songs and kind of how you were feeling when you were about to post them? And I guess how you overcame the fear of sharing it with the world?
I was terrified, honestly, because when you put a song out there, you're kind of putting out a part of you that the world doesn't see. Um, and so I don't remember what made me finally just do it. I think it was just I was recording the songs and people were like, "Man, these songs are good. You should put them out." And I did. And it got a little bit of attention from people around here, because back in the day, MySpace was mainly like your friend community that you hung out with most of the time, so people around here started to understand that, I could play and write songs and stuff like that, but it never really went past that. But yeah, it was a really scary thing for me to do, and I don't know what made me finally do it, but I was like, I guess it's now or never. Like if I don't put these songs out, when am I ever going to get any sort of chance? It was the only way I think that I could put myself out there. It was easier for me to put those songs out than to get up on stage and to sing in front of people.
That's actually another interesting thing. So, how did you overcome your stage fright, and do you still experience it today?
Yeah, I still experience it. It's definitely not near what it was when it first started. Um, and I don't know. Honestly, I think I was waiting for the point for me to get over it, waiting for me to not be afraid to do it, and that's never going to come. Like if you have the fear of something, you're never going to get over it until you face it. And I think finally I was just like, screw it. I'm just either going to have to try this or not do it. So I did it, and the first time I did it, I was like, this really isn't as bad as I thought it would be. And as time goes on, the funny thing is, I'm the most nervous right before I go on stage, but as soon as I step on stage, it's like it goes away. It's like I flip a switch and then I have to be the artist up there and that's it. You don't think about anything else. You just go up there, perform, make sure you do your best and I don't know, it really is a weird thing.
A really big lesson here is that you don't have to necessarily feel like doing something in order to do it and do it well. And it's cool that the way you're talking about this, it's like right before you go on stage, you're nervous, that stage fright creeps up a little bit, but then just by showing up and committing to it and moving into that space where you become the artist, how it really does vanish. And so I think that there's a lot to be said here about overcoming fear in general.
Yeah, I think the big thing is people think they're going to go up there and everybody's going to laugh at you. Like that's the thoughts that go through your head, which are completely not true. You go up there and it doesn't matter if you mess up or if you don't do your best. Like most people just want to enjoy the music. And you get up there and you're playing and when the crowd's interacting with you and they look like they're enjoying it and it builds on itself and you get more confidence and it's like I don't even know what I was afraid of before.
Well, it's so funny because a lot of the things that you're saying, I almost feel like we're like kindred spirits in a way because you're saying things that are reminding me a lot about the way I think and like my journey, things that have happened, especially when you were talking about how you wanted to be a singer growing up, then you decided to pursue a traditional path for a little bit, and then
Hmm.
all of a sudden here you are living your dream. I would tell people when I was growing up that I wanted to live in Los Angeles and New York City and that I wanted to have a talk show. And one thing kind of led to another, and it kind of chose me in the same way that it sounds like music chose you.
Yeah, and especially nowadays, you can do anything that you want to do because of social media and the internet, and there's no middleman anymore. There's no gatekeeper. You can do this if you put in the work and you put yourself out there, even if you're not the best at it, because there are so many things that I'm not good at, and you just have to put yourself out there. People don't want perfect. People want to hear something and see something that's real. That's what people want.
Oh yeah, that's big too. And I think we even see that in the kind of content that's being created on social media and on YouTube in general. If it's overly produced, you could tell it's really, edited and not authentic. People don't
Yeah.
really gravitate to that anymore.
Yeah, it's definitely going more towards that. People want to see something real. Like the production quality almost doesn't even matter anymore on social media. You can have the worst video in the world, but if it's something that catches someone's attention and catches someone's interest, then that's all that matters, really.
And Will, take me back to the day that your wife Tiffany posted the video of you and your son playing the guitar. How did you guys have any idea that it was going to get the kind of attention that it did?
No. So it was just, this was something that we did, I wouldn't want to say often, but every now and then, after, I had kids, I wasn't playing guitar or singing as much as I would, but every now and then I'd pull the guitar out, sing a few songs, and just as a family, And so that night I was doing that, and we have the band, the game Rock Band for Xbox. And so we had the Rock Band guitar, and I'm sitting there playing the song. I think it was Luke Combs' Beautiful Crazy. That's the song that I was singing. And my son decided to grab the Rock Band guitar and get up on the coffee table, and he starts singing this song too. And and the crazy thing is, I didn't even know he knew all these words. He's like 2 years old at the time. And he's belting these words out, like putting everything he's got into this chorus. And luckily, my wife started recording it. And so we were like, man, we got to put this on Facebook for our friends, So we put it on Facebook. And then I think it was one of my wife's friends. She was like, can you make this public so I can share it? And we did that. And once that happened, the views just started coming in like crazy. And I'm watching this video and I'm like, man, this thing's got 10,000 views. That's insane. And then like not even 3 days later, this thing was up to like 10, 11, 12 million views. I think it topped out at like 16 million views. And and so like this is the time when I was like, okay, what do I do now? Because there are a bunch of people asking me, like, do you have more music? Do you have more songs we can listen to? Do you write music? Do you have original music? And I was like, I don't have anything. I haven't done this in years. So that's when I started learning how to film. I started learning how to record myself. So I started doing covers and putting those on YouTube. And then everything grew from there. That's when I started writing again. And it was a snowball effect.
One thing that you keep mentioning that I think is really important for anybody who wants to pursue any kind of career online is that you really do need to learn how to create the content, create and share the content in this space. So learning, video editing tools music, digital audio workspaces. If you want to produce electronic music, anything that you want to learn how to do, you need to learn how to do every single part, because to your point, Will, there is no middleman, or you don't necessarily need one anymore. And
Yeah.
it's a lot easier to do this on your own than hoping that somebody else is going to take a chance and believe in you in order for you to pursue your dream.
Yeah, that was probably the most work. It was in the beginning. I mean, I was constantly learning things about the thing I had to learn the most was how to mix music and how to record myself and make it sound good. The video editing, I sort of had a leg up on that because when I was younger, when I was a teenager, my friends and I were really into the show Jackass. If you remember that show on MTV.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So at the time, we started doing the same thing. And like, I was the one behind the camera filming everybody doing the crazy things. And then I would take it and put it into like I don't even remember what program it was back in the day, but I used to edit the videos and put music to them and kind of make videos out of it. So I kind of had a leg up on the video editing because I had some practice with that. And the funny thing is, the crazy part about all this is the thing that I wanted to go to school for in the beginning was I wanted to go to school for film production because I was really into video and stuff and video editing and stuff like that. And I wanted to go to school for that. But at the time, Louisiana really didn't have much of a film industry. And then it probably was maybe 5 years later that Louisiana like blew up as a film industry place where they filmed a lot of movies down here now. But it all came back. So I wanted to do film editing and like movies and stuff like that. And I also wanted to be a musician. And that's literally what I do all the time now. I have to do videos for social media. I have to record myself with music. And all the music videos actually that I put out are are done by me. My wife films us. My wife films me, and I go in and edit them. So everything comes full circle. It's kind of crazy.
Will, wow, I didn't realize that you guys create every single music video. Like, I mean, for all the way from recording it. That's crazy. That's amazing.
Yeah, she's really good at angles. She gets like really good angles and motion with the camera, and she's really good at making it look intimate in the parts where it needs to be. Um and then I just take that and edit it, and yeah, like it's something that I actually enjoy doing. So that's cool.
And Will, before going into music full time, you were working as a process technician. Talk to us about what gave you the courage and the strength to make the leap into music full time? Because I imagine back at that time when you're going to leave this job or leave a career that you've been pursuing for 15 years, I imagine there was a lot of fear around that because it probably felt like a big risk.
Yeah, it was. It took me a long time to make the leap. Make the leap. The biggest thing is because I have a family and I have kids, and they rely on the income, and they rely on everything that I provide for them. And I'm not thinking about myself anymore. I can't just be selfish and just go for it and, move to Nashville and try to pursue that career. So I knew that I had to have everything in place to make sure that I could still provide for them if it didn't work out. So I sort of set a goal for myself to where I wanted to I wanted to get to the point where I was making almost the same amount of money at my job as I was making in music. And I eventually got to that point, and then I moved the goalposts again. I was like, okay, well, if this doesn't continue, I need to have some money on the side saved up so where if I need to find another job, I can go and do that, and I don't have to, and we won't lose anything that we have. I have bills, I have a house. So eventually I did that. I got to that point where I had saved up almost a year's worth of my pay that I could have on the side in case I ever needed to find a job for a year. And then I kept just setting these other goals where I was like, you know what? All I'm doing is just delaying it because I'm afraid. And eventually it got to the point where I was just like, it's now or never. Like I was getting a lot of traction. My listeners were growing, and I really needed to spend more time on this. And I knew that if I didn't, that I might lose this opportunity. So I had enough time in that field. I worked in the chemical industry for, like I said, almost 15 years. And I knew that if I ever really needed to go back and get a job in that industry, I could. So it was, I knew that I could try to do it, but I was just afraid to do it. And I think eventually I just decided, you know what, it's now or never. And so I told my boss that I was going to be quitting. And a lot of people thought I was crazy, because in that you make some pretty good money in that industry, and it's a good job, and most people retire from that job. But, at the end of the day, you only get one life. And if you're spending it doing something you really don't think you need it, you're supposed to be doing, why are you doing it?
Well said. I couldn't agree more. And I also think that it was smart of you to not just say, jump from one thing to another. And I actually think that this is also another great lesson is that if you want to pursue something you're passionate about, you don't have to quit your whole life to do it. You can prepare and then eventually take the leap. And I think it sounds like what happened here was you were doing the responsible thing as an adult with children and obligations, and so you were doing that, but then eventually it was like, okay, the music is actually working out just as much as work is probably going to take you even further than your career was. So you made the jump.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew that there was a cap where I was, like I could only do so well at that job. And if I ever wanted to be something bigger than that and have more than that, and just to be able to wake up every day and do something that I love to do. How many people get to do that? It's very rare. And I had that opportunity in front of me, and I knew that it would be stupid of me to pass that up. And my family was very supportive of it. They would definitely whatever I wanted to do, they were 100% behind me. And it's also cool now because I'm not touring a lot right now. So most of my time I'm spent at home. So, I get to be here every morning with my kids now and make them breakfast. And I even bring them to school a lot of times. And that's something that I know when I look back on, I'm going to be glad I did that as well, just for that opportunity, get to spend more time with them and be there for them for whenever I need to be.
And Will, how long after making the jump from your career as a process technician to a musician did it take for your music to start reaching millions of people and for you to start to see real traction?
It was there before. That's that's the reason that I quit. I mean, I think at the time when I quit, I had maybe probably around 250, 300,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. And that's a lot more than a lot of independent artists have, that don't have a record label behind them or anything like that. And a lot of the videos I was putting out, like I was learning how to make videos go viral and how to reach a lot of people and how to get my music out there. And I had done that for like 3 years before I decided to quit. So I knew how to do it. I knew how to continue doing it. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I was able to quit without being too afraid. But I'm not gonna lie, the first day after I quit my job, I legit had a panic attack. I was like, what am I doing? Like this is I- it really did freak me out for a day, but I got over that pretty quickly.
And I want to talk to you about Best Parts of Me, which is such an incredible song. Can you tell me about what inspired the song and how it came together?
Well, that was actually the first song that I wrote when I started getting back into songwriting, after I had that viral video. And I wanted the first song to be something that was special to me and not just some random event in my life. I wanted it to be something that meant something. And I could that was my daughter changed my life in so many ways, so I wanted to have something for her as well that she could always go back and listen to and know how I always felt about her. So I wrote that song, and the version that's out there, the first version that I put out, I completely mixed and recorded everything myself for that song. Um, and I had to learn how to do all that as well. But as far as the songwriting part of it, um, it came together pretty easily because everything in it was how I felt about her. And that's probably the song that really changed my life because after I put that song out, there's a video of me showing her the song in my truck, and she got emotional about it. And so I put that video online, and that one got that one went absolutely crazy. If I thought the first video had a lot of views, this one, if I had to count all of these views up, it's probably, I mean, as many times as it's been shared and as many times as like the different social media platforms, it probably is close to, I would say, maybe 500 million views by now, you know, because it's been shared by so many different people and so many different platforms. And actually, one of the biggest people that shared it was Dana White from the UFC. He was the president of the UFC, and I'm a huge UFC fan. So at the time when he shared it, I was just like, man, this is absolutely insane, you know?
No, that's incredible. And I didn't realize that that was the first song you wrote when you went back to songwriting all of these years later, which is
Yeah,
actually crazy to think because Best Parts of Me hit number 2 on the iTunes country chart and number 5 overall.
it was absolutely insane, you know? And I think Dana White is the biggest reason that that happened because like I said, he shared my video, and then I messaged him on Instagram to thank him, and then he started having a conversation with me, and I'm like, man, this is insane because I was such a huge fan of his, and he's like, you need to get your PR people in touch with the Today Show and Ellen and all these shows, and I'm like, Dana, it's just me. I don't have a PR team, you know? So he's like, okay, well, I'm going to get my head of PR of the UFC to reach out to these people for you. And he's like, I'm going to hit up Mario Lopez because him and I are good friends and get you on his show. And I have some contacts at the Today Show. I'm going to get you on that show. And at the time, I'm like, I'm a normal guy with a normal job. So like all this is being thrown at me. And I'm just like, this is absolutely insane. And later on that week, I started getting a bunch of comments and messages on my phone. I'd actually worked nights the night before. And I woke up to my phone blowing up like crazy. And I looked at it and people were saying that my video was on the Today Show. So I hurried up and turned on the TV. And sure enough, Hoda and Jenna were sitting there watching my video, talking about the song, playing the song on her phone. And then that same day, I got a message from the show, from the producers of the show, and they wanted me to perform the song on the show the next week. And this is during COVID, so I couldn't go to New York and do it. So I had a setup like this where I did it in front of the computer and I performed that song um, on the Today Show, and that's when the song went to number one. It was the day after that I performed there.
That's an incredible story. And it's crazy to think that this song that you wrote after all of this time of not writing music was this successful. And I think that this is a powerful testament to the fact that when you actually pursue what you're passionate about and you do it with love and you bring all of your passion to it, things can really blow up from one day to the next.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think also this song gets played a lot because I think you can feel, if you're a father and you have a daughter, most of the words in that song you're going to be able to identify with. Maybe not the hair color and the eye color, but everything else you're going to be able to identify with. And a cool thing that I get to do because of this song is I fly all over the country playing this song for father-daughter dances at weddings as a surprise. Like the bride has no idea most of the time, and it's such a fun thing to do. I get to play that song and be a part of one of the biggest moments of their life, so it's really fun.
And well, one thing that I think that you do very beautifully is you're able to balance both. You're able to take very heavy topics and things in topics that can be sad even, but balance it out with hope. And I
Yeah,
think that you did that perfectly with Beat You There, which I know is a very personal and sensitive, topic for you, because you wrote it about a friend of yours who passed.
right.
Can you talk to us about how you're able to incorporate both, loss with hope in a song and have it still convey a positive message at the end? Because if you listen to the song, of course, it is sad and you can feel those sad feelings. But after listening to the song every single time, I feel uplifted. I feel hopeful at the end. I don't feel those sad emotions that I'm talking about.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I wanted to convey in that song because originally when I wrote it for myself because she was a close friend of mine, but also I was really close with her family and seeing everything they were going through, I just kind of wanted to give them and everybody who was close to her something that says, I understand what you're going through and also to give them hope, that you're going to see this person again. Because if you're a Christian and you believe in God and you believe in Jesus, then you believe that you're going to see that person again, and I do as well. So that's kind of what I wanted to convey in that song, and the words were really, that was another song that was really easy to write because everything I wrote is something that I was feeling at the time, and I think it's something that everyone feels and goes through whenever they lose somebody that they love. But when you hear someone else say it and put it into a song, it really makes you experience those feelings a lot more.
And Will, the line, "We're both headed for the same place anyway. I just beat you there." How did you come up with that line?
I don't know. I don't remember exactly how I came up with that one, but I wanted to say in a way that, we would see each other again. I don't know where "Beat You There" come from. I think maybe it just randomly came to my head. It wasn't something that I thought about very long. It was just like the song, basically, God wrote the song through me sometimes, I feel like, because this song is the messages and comments that I get about this song is something that I never expected to get. Like on a daily basis, I get people telling me how this song has helped them deal with the loss of somebody that they love, that they played it at their celebration of life or at their funeral, and about how some people tell me that it's the only reason they can get out of bed in the morning. It's the only reason that, like this father told me that his son had passed away 5 years ago. And hearing that song was the first time that he ever felt hope and that he was ever able to smile about, his son and that he believed he would see him again. And then I've even had people tell me that it stopped them from taking their own life. People have told me that that song kept them from taking their own life because it gave them hope. And when you hear stuff like that, it's not something you're ever really prepared for, and it just makes you realize how powerful music can be.
I also find it interesting that you're talking about how you feel that God writes the music through you sometimes. I feel like that's a very common thing for musicians is that they don't really feel that they're the ones writing the lyrics. It's almost like you're tapping into something else
Yeah.
entirely. You think that's the case for all of your songs?
I won't say all, but a lot of them, yes. A lot of them, um, a lot of my songs when I write them, I start with the music first. Like I have to feel it. I have to feel what the chords are saying to me. There have been some songs that I wrote and then put the music to them. But yeah, a lot of those songs, they just sometimes when I'm writing a song, I'll just be playing a chord progression and I don't even think. I just randomly say words that come to my head because of the way the emotion that the song is conveying in me, and a lot of my songs start that way. And so a line will come out and I'll be like, well, I'll try to come up with a few more, and then it starts to grow into something where I can say, okay, well, this song is going to be about this. So yeah, songwriting is such a weird thing. It's just I don't understand where it comes from half the time.
And Will, what is the biggest challenge you've overcome as an artist?
There's definitely a lot of them, but definitely getting myself out there, because more growing up, I was a lot more introverted. And so this is a career where weirdly, a lot of musicians are introverted, but you have to be out in front of everyone and you have to put yourself out there. And, you say a lot of personal things in these songs, and you know that everybody's going to hear them and see them and maybe feel a certain way about you. But I think that's the biggest thing. The hardest thing to get through is just being able to put yourself out there and not worrying about what everybody else is going to judge you for it. I'd probably say it's that.
And Will, what do you hope your family, your in particular your children, take away from watching you chase your dream?
That's another big reason why I wanted to do this, because I wanted to set that example for them that it's not always money that you should chase, or, at the end of the day, you can have all the money in the world, but if you're doing something that you hate, and if you're waking up every day wishing you were doing something else, then what's it for? And that's kind of the example that I wanted to set, that if you work hard enough at something and you really pursue something that you want to do, especially these days, I think you can do anything. And I wanted to be able to set that example for them.
I think it's a really great point that you bring that up, Will, because in today's day and age, we live at a time where people tend to measure success based on monetary gain. And that's not always the case because you hear it all the time. There are so many, CEOs or surgeons, anybody who pursues a high paying job that's not their passion, and then they burn out and then they end up doing completely different because the money wasn't even worth it.
Yeah. And some people make a ton of money and are completely unhappy in their life. And that can happen to almost anyone. If that's all you're chasing is the money, then, you know, what's it worth? Um, So yeah, waking up every day, being able to do this is definitely something I don't take for granted. There are times where I work harder at this than anything that I've ever done in my life, but it doesn't feel like work a lot of times. It's very rewarding, and being able to create things and have a career doing something like this is just it's it's great.
And Will, what is your vision for what's to come next in your career? Would you have any plans or are you working on any projects?
I'm continually putting out songs and putting out music, and hopefully I'm gonna try to play a good bit more shows next year. That's my goal. I kind of wanted to have enough songs to put out for the next 2 years to where I could consistently put out music and also go and play shows. So this past year, I've been working a lot on that. I've been working a lot on new music, writing and recording a lot of new songs, because I want to have enough songs to be able to put out for all the next year, and be able to actually maybe do a tour or something like that as well, because it's especially when you're doing all this yourself, like there's so much work involved in it that you sort of have to pick and choose what you want to do, especially it being independent and doing most of the things yourself. Yeah, so that's sort of my plan, just to continue to put out as many songs as I can, continue writing, keep putting music out, and just see where it goes from there. I mean, I'm already doing what I said I wanted to do. You know, in the beginning, I used to tell myself, if I could just make music for a living, then it doesn't really matter how much money I make. If I can provide for my family and do this for a living, that's good enough for me. And I'm doing it. So just continue doing it, I guess.
And when you're writing all this music, do you ever experience writer's block? And if so, how do you overcome it?
Yes, I do. Um, I don't really have a great system for overcoming it. There are some songs where I'll write half of a song and it never gets finished because I can't find the right words to say. Surprisingly, I write a lot of my music doing things like like cutting the grass. When I'm riding on a lawnmower, I'm able to write songs because I feel like it it sort of occupies that part of your brain where it's sort of like driving. You know, sometimes when you're driving, you'll be thinking about something else and you don't even realize that you're driving sometimes. And I think having something to kind of take part of my brain's focus allows me to stay in the moment and continually write these words in my head. I don't know why it works that way, but sometimes I write better doing that than I do sitting here in my studio on the guitar. You know, once I get a song started, I can go and cut the grass and write better there than in here.
And when you're cutting the grass, do you feel that that silences your mind and that's why you're able to tap into that part of you that's able to write music?
Yeah, you said that a lot better than me. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
No. I think you said the same thing. I always wonder about about things like this because I feel that inspiration or good ideas come to you when you're not necessarily trying. It's when your mind is off, you're almost able to receive the download, if that makes any sense, without trying to sound woo-woo.
No, it's true. It's true. You know, the saying you find a lot of things where you're not looking for them. You know, it just when you're when you're just open to receiving the things, I feel like they come to you easier than when you're trying to force something into it. And I think a lot of times, sometimes my songs will be written really quickly, and sometimes it takes a long time because I don't want to just put any line into a song. Like every line in my song has to mean something to me. And if it doesn't feel right, I don't really include it and I'll just keep looking for that next line. And I think a lot of times I find them when I'm not even trying to find them. You know, they just pop into my head one day.
And Will, one thing that I really love about today's music is that we touched on this earlier, you don't need a middleman. And so you really are able to maintain total creative freedom.
Hmm.
How do you feel that having total creative freedom has empowered you as an artist?
It allows me to say what I want to say without having to worry about what someone else is going to think about it. Um, it's, I think it's allowed me to connect with more people because I just put out whatever I feel at the time, and I don't have a record label telling me you can't put this out or put that out. Um, and I mean, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with a record label. They really do help a lot. But for me, I feel like where I'm at in my stage, I like I love this total control because I feel like there are a lot of songs that I put out that probably would have got shelved if I was with a label. But um, yeah, it's I love being able to put out what I write and what I want to put out.
And Will, what advice would you give to somebody who wants to pursue a career in music but has been too scared to start?
Just start. I mean, there's no better time to start than now. Uh, you'll sit around waiting for the right time, and it's never going to come. It's so easy these days to put yourself out there. If you have something that connects with anyone, I mean, you can find a fan base online so easily. I mean, even if it's not millions of people, there's going to be somebody out there that connects with your music, and I feel like that's good enough. You know, you put out what you feel, and if you love making music, don't let anything hold you back. I mean, why would you?
And what are the biggest lessons that you've learned, both personally and professionally?
Personally, um, I feel like that's one big thing, just sort of not thinking too hard about something and just going for it if you feel like you should. And also this job has really taught me how to balance things a lot better because you have to, I mean, especially being independent, all the things that you have to do and that you're responsible for, you sort of have to learn how to manage your time a lot better. And I guess that's both personal and professional because um, I I feel like I don't remember what it's like to be bored because I always have something that I need to do, and I'll spend a good bit of my morning on Sunday just kind of planning out my week and figuring out what I want to work on that week because I don't want to wake up Monday morning and be like, okay, what do I need to do now? Because I've just wasted that time, right? So I want to be able to, I think professionally, learning how to manage my time better and learning that planning out everything works so much better than just doing something off the cuff.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I feel the same way. When I try to just wing the week, I feel like I waste a lot of time. So having a structured plan is always good.
Yeah, it's definitely it's running a business 100%. It's so much more than just recording music and putting it out there. You literally have to control every part of it. It is a business. And the cool thing is I went to school for business and I actually like that side of it. So that's another enjoyable thing that I get to do here. But sometimes that part takes over the music part. So finding the balance between the two is definitely a struggle sometimes, but you get better with it the longer that you do it.
And you mentioned earlier, you said I'm lucky to be doing what I do, and I agree. But I think one of the big takeaways from this is that it's not all luck. I mean, well, you've learned so many different things. You're running a business. You're being creative. You're having to travel. You're stepping in front of on stage in front of people, overcoming a fear of yours. It's a lot that goes into this. So I think it's really cool what you're doing, and I think that your story, your mindset, and your career perfectly embody what this whole podcast is about.
It's pretty cool. Like getting able to do things like this and talk to people about this process is also something that I really like to do because I can talk about this forever. And there's so many things, so many aspects of this business that I don't get to talk to many people about because they don't understand. But doing things like this is really cool. So thank you for having me.
Of course. And Will, where's the best place for people to keep up with your work and see what you're doing?
You can follow me on any social media, well, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube, and that's at Will Dempsey Music. And you can also go to my website, willdempseymusic.com. You can follow me there. You can buy a CD, merch, whatever you want. And also Spotify, Apple Music, any streaming service, I'm there as well, Will Dempsey.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to include the links to all of your social media profiles, your website, and your Spotify, iTunes, all of that good stuff in the episode notes so that anyone who's listening now can easily go and access them there. And Will, if you could go back in time and offer your younger self one bit of advice, let's go back in time to right before you quit your full-time job to pursue music full-time. What would you tell yourself?
Don't be afraid. Go for it. You're making the right decision. I think facing your fears and going for it is one of the best things you can do in life because it might not always work out, but you'll never have to look back and regret it. So go for it.
Well, Will, thank you so much for doing this. This was amazing. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.